Alana, it is great to be here with you. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to talk first about your founding story. Tell me about how you founded your company.
Yeah, so I think I always knew I loved startups, and because of that, I wanted to be an investor someday because you can help people start companies and not just do it once, but help many different people. During COVID, I kind of realized I wanted to spend more time with founders, and I didn't have enough personal capital to be an angel investor at that point. So I ended up raising a very small micro fund, $600K from one LP. And I started using that to write small checks on nights and weekends. As soon as I started not only investing, but starting Basecase and realizing that it was the entrepreneurial aspect of figuring out how I'm gonna get in front of people, because I didn't have a background as an investor. I didn't have any firm name on the wall to show,
Right.
Here's why you should take a meeting with me. And I was just kind of reaching out to interesting people or being connected to people through my network. And as soon as I started writing those checks, I realized I loved it and I wanted to do it full time.
Is there any particular focus you're looking on when you invest in people? Is there any particular industries or categories or people you're really excited about?
Yeah, so Basecase is a little bit different, and I like to say I spend all of my time with founders before they're actually founders.
That's cool.
Unlike most VCs, I don't really take pitch meetings. I am mostly talking to the brightest engineers and maybe second-time founders whose companies were acquired, and sort of getting to know them when they are just in the thick of it, whether they are just learning how to adapt as a company scales. And so I try to figure out how I can help them, introduce them to maybe some of my portfolio founders to talk about their journey. And eventually, whenever they're ready to leave and start a company, I try to write the first check in, because oftentimes it's really before someone actually knows what it is that they're going to build.
So what's it been like as a woman to navigate in this ridiculously male-dominated VC industry? Have you faced any big challenges?
The first fund I raised was a $20 million fund, and I started raising it, and I still remember about a week into that, I looked at my Airtable tracking of the investors, and there was probably one woman. And I was like, okay, after this week, I need to only talk to women and underrepresented minorities in tech, and that's what I did. I lowered the minimum check size. Historically, funds have sort of a crazy minimum, like $250K to invest. Lowered that to $5K was the lowest check. And without a doubt, the women and the people that I typically don't think would have made it into the fund if I had stuck with sort of the typical norm of $250K minimum are the people who are most interesting to me.
If you could give yourself one piece of advice the day before you started your company, what would you tell yourself that you wish you had known that you know now?
I would say lean into what makes you you and forget about what people traditionally do in this role. When I first started, I looked at all the other investors and I said, okay, typical investor is meeting companies that are actively raising. They are looking at decks and they're asking really smart questions.
Right.
And there are a lot of great investors that do that. And I thought that that's what I had to do. And it really took me like a couple years to realize actually what I'm really good at, which not a lot of other people are good at, is just finding great people and building relationships and seeing things in people before anyone else does. And so what I sort of realized over the last 2 years is whenever I do that, it ends up being a really successful company.
And one last question for you, and this is a lofty one, so you can
Okay.
take a second. What would you like your legacy to be?
For me, it's not enough just to be an investor in great companies. I want to be someone that those founders say, she believed in me and she sort of gave me the conviction to go and build something. And I think the goal that I have with Basecase is to, give people confidence in themselves that they can go and build something and give them all the resources they need to go and do that. So if I can just inspire people to go build and give them the sort of push to jump off the diving board, I think that's what my goal is.